Hello there, welcome back. This is a very quickie video. I don't expect it to last very long. And it's going to be non-spoilery. So if you're going to see Dr. Sleep, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it. The pleasure of this one is actually seeing how it unfolds, getting to expectations and what it does, or what you expect from a sequel to The Shining. I'll start off by saying it's a good film. It's not a Kubrick film. It's not like a... It's not. I mean, thought you were like a sequel to a Kubrick film and it was going to be very Kubrick-like. Forget it. It's not going to be that. But it's got a lot of respect for the Kubrick film. It's a lot of respect for the original book as well. So there's a lot of. So it becomes almost like a sequel to both, but takes place. Given like benchmarks to what happened in both the book and the novel, and it pays tribute to both. And it's got its own identity. It's not trying to be the Kubrick film, but it has some visual keynotes to it, and it kind of visually drops images from the first one, so you know what it is. But it does in a way that's saying, yeah, we know that you know this image. This is a contextual thing that you know from the first film, and because the lead character Danny Torrance was the little boy in the original, he's grown up into Hugh McGregor. Those things of his memories are not like thrown at the screen to scare you. It's like, this is memories. There's an emotional attachment to the flashback things you see there. So it means it's not just look, Kubrick did this. Whoa. No, there's none of that there. It's a ghost story. It's about someone recovering from a bad experience 40 years later and still struggling with himself and struggling with what happened. And it's got a lot of respect for both the novel and the film, but it's his own thing ultimately. I mean, there are points where it kind of drops images from the film, but also the lead character played by Hugh McGregor, Danny Torrance, feels a lot more like Jack Torrance in the book rather than Jack Torrance in the film. So it has a reference to the book as well. So the plot of this one is basically like in the aftermath of The Shining, the original Shining, Danny Torrance learns how to deal with these ghosts that try and haunt him. And he basically puts in away a little box in his mind, and he can't get to him because he's got the shine. They're not powerful enough to get to him. But over the next 30-40 years, he has become a alcoholic. He's become someone who is very difficult to go on with. He's fallen into the traps of his father. He's a drunk, he's got a temper when he's drunk, he's very destructive, and he's a very haunted person. But at some point he gets his life together, he hits bottom, he gets his life together, he becomes an orderly in a nursing home, and he helps these people who are dying to pass over from life to death. Because he's got gifts, he finds a way to talk to them and let them pass through. He becomes this sort of kind, ghostly figure to them. And that's good enough for him. That puts his life in order and it gives him some meaning in his life. And where the film's actually good is in that all that character stuff. Through this bit, this story, you're also getting moments with Rebecca Ferguson, who's playing the villain, as Rose the Hat. She's someone who she and a group of people feed on people with the shine, the energy off them, and suck the energy out of them, and actually that gives them longer life. So they don't care who it is as long as they can get the energy to keep living and keep their looks and keep operating the way they always have. So they're the villains, but they're very kind of human villains. There's no big master plan. They're just people and they have strengths and weaknesses the way people would have. They're a bit supernatural, but they're nothing, it's not overdone. Finally you've got this little girl who starts off early as like but the same age as Danny, and then you jump 8 years, so she's becoming a teenager. And she's this young black girl and she's at the Shining too. She, like Danny, has almost the mother lode of the shine. She's got the power will attract all of these people who want basically to kill her and get the energy off her, because that'll keep them going for years. And that's basically the plot, is that it's basically a cat and mouse with Danny helping her and Rebecca Ferguson's character, Rosie Hat, and her gang coming after the girl. That's the basic plot. That's as far as I'm going to go with plotting, because I don't want to give up anything that will ruin anyone's enjoyment of the film. All I gotta say, it's a very enjoyable film because it respects the fact that it's a ghost story, but it's also kind of a manhunt story. And the manhunt elements use the supernatural, but they don't use the supernatural as a get out of free jail card for anything they have a problem with. They set up the rules of the situation and they follow the rules. And it is a sort of extension of what you saw in The Shining. They explain a little bit more, but nothing too much. I mean, if you're a fan of the Kubrick film, you're probably going to think they explain too much. But the film is actually, it's a very humanistic film. It doesn't take the kind of, because Kubrick is a kind of satirist and a person who saw people as repeating the same mistakes again and again, and never did a dark sense of humour with that, and a dark sense of humour about people's ambitions and where they were going. He did see it from almost Olympic status, looking down on them, even though the way he got the actors to perform, there was a lot of sympathy as well, and there was a lot of pain involved in those characters and their situation, but he could separate himself from it. In a way, this one's much closer to Danny and the human condition and the strengths and weaknesses of people. It's a more humanistic film, but it doesn't mean that's bad, it's just a different take. So by breaking off from the Kubrick model, it gives it a chance to actually be its own thing. So while it may reference Kubrick, it's not trying to be Kubrick, it's trying to be its own thing. But it's also not trying to be Stephen King either. It is kind of in between. But that's what gives it a good strength, because it's got the kind of power that Kubrick has of, don't explain everything, you know, but like it has the kind of more human touch of King, and it explains a bit more. There's a couple of things I think explains too much, but mostly it doesn't. Mostly it understands that a ghost story needs some mystery, and the actual hauntings need to have a human base. Like, why is a haunting existing? Why are they affecting a person? There has to be a human base to that, and that's what the film gets right, because it sticks to Danny's the main character. I mean, you've got the villains, you've got the little girl who's trying to protect, but they're secondary characters. They're like, the little girl in this one, sort of like, if you look at Terminator 2, what John Connor was in Terminator 2, a supporting character who gave life to the main characters and who was very important in themselves, but they were, ultimately the adults are taking the brunt of the actual drama. And in this one, it's really the Danny Torrance story, and it's him having grown up and actually becoming a drunk, and he tries to suppress his shining and trying to walk away from it, and then he realises he really can't, because he has to basically come out of hiding from himself and actually be a force in the world again to protect his little girl from these villains. And the whole process of him going from being a drunk to being an orderly to being protecting this little girl takes time. This is a 2.5 hour film, but the good thing is it doesn't feel like a 2.5 hour film. It feels like it's you know, it's one of those films where it's so enjoyable that I'm not really paying attention to time passing, because the storyteller is telling you the moments it needs to tell to get from one bit to the next. So it's, everything's proceeding very natural. So you're getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. I mean, the actual King film that actually reminds me of most is The Dead Zone, Christopher Walken, David Cronenberg film, where it's very episodic, but it's actually telling you a story, a long story, and it's a very humane story, and it's kind of a, you know, there's a darkness to it, but it's a very humanistic story. It's like you have a very sympathetic lead character who's very human, but is very tortured. So it did feel a lot when I was watching. I felt very much like Dead Zone. The same way the Dead Zone had some nice creepy moments, so does this, but it's not an overt horror film. It's a ghostly story, but it's not trying to like throw shocks at you or anything. It's trying to give you an atmosphere. It's about the ghosts, it's about the characters. And everybody has their moment. I mean, the good thing is the villains are all very distinct. It's a group of them, and they set them up early, and you understand who each person is and what their abilities are and how they're different from each other. And then when it goes to the manhunt element of the story, as they have to face off against Danny and the girl and things like that, that comes into play. So some of them are smarter than you think they are, some of them aren't, and their abilities and intelligence are part of the characters that actually helps create the drama, and where their blind spots are and where their strengths and where their weaknesses are. And the good thing is this story knows that it can't just build and build and build to a massive violent conclusion. It's about the characters, so each moment has to be about character and has to be about progressing the story forward, so that each element of the story progresses the character forward. So it's very satisfying as a thriller, because each action scene or each suspense scene actually has a point. It's kind of the opposite of what Terminator Dark Fate was, where there was a lot of action but there was nothing, no point to any of it. This one always feels as a point. You know why you're watching, you're always interested, you're always curious what's going to happen next. You like the characters, you want to see them do well, or you like the good characters. And it's really well cast. I mean, the characters you're meant to know well, you know well. The characters who are more background characters, they don't want you to know them too well, they remain in the background. They have like little things with like lookalikes for Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, who don't look too much like them, but enough so they're not lookalikes, but they're actors playing the characters for little flashbacks and things like that. That I don't want to explain away too much. I think it's the enjoyment of seeing it within the film and where it comes in and why it comes in. So they do it well enough so you know that they're not trying to say this is Jack Nicholson. They're just saying, we know the film, and this is like, but this is a separate film, but you know the references, you know what was driving Jack Nicholson's performance and what was driving these characters. So it works out really well. It's a bit distracting to start with, but once you get used to it, and it's fine. Ewan McGregor's really good in lead as Dan Torrance. He's really haunted in the early parts, then he becomes more humane. He's an actor that's hard to cast. I mean, he's been good in lots of stuff, but he's also had lots of films where he's a bit vague, and it's almost like you wonder if he's been directed, you know. This one, he's been directed and he seems to know what his character is. He's a guy, when he's very drunk and guilt-ridden, he looks like he's been through hell. And when he's trying to bring his life back together, he's very humane, and when he's dealing with the threats, he's very simple but humane. Like, he does not want to kill anybody, he doesn't want to do anything violent, but he's been forced into this by these other people, and you know, and he will protect his girl no matter what, but he doesn't like it, so it makes a very humane character. And as you unpeel the layer, really resolve him, you see how he's a much more tragic character than you originally realised, and what's eaten away at him is more complicated than you might originally have thought. So there's lots of moving little moments where you see him talk about things that affected him and what he's keeping back. There's also he's keeping back. That's why I mentioned Christopher Walken in Dead Zone. There's that same kind of feeling with him, and Christopher Walken had that feeling of holding back certain things, and then little bits of emotion start to come out and they become really potent, because it's not your face all the time, but every so often you get it, and that's really what's good. So this is one of his best performances in a while, actually. He's really strong here. He seems to know the character, he understands it really well. The little girl's pretty good. I mean, she's not a major performance, but she does what she needs to do. She's directed well. It's like, it's sympathetic, so you like the character and you want to see her survive. But it's like they're dealing with someone who's young, so there's only so much they can weigh on her. But she does what she has to do well. It's just they are kind of careful not to give her like insane challenges, you know. So McGregor kind of keeps hold of the drama really more than she has to. Rebecca Ferguson's terrific as a villain. She's funny. She really is a devil in this one. She really is having fun playing the person who is destructive and hateful and is out for vengeance against the world, really. But she's a sense of humour about it. So she's terrific in this. So the whole cast, Cliff Curtis shows up as McGregor's pal, who's also a very humane, interesting figure. And there's lots of little parts as well that come up. Bruce Greenwood turns up in a small part early on, and he's really good. There's lots of little details that really work in this film. It's a wonderfully little, enjoyable follow-up. It's not trying to be The Shining, it's not trying to be this iconic thing, it's just saying this is another story set in that universe. It's also tied to the book, and it's its own little thing. It's like, it's not trying to fool you into things they're trying to do another Kubrick film. It's like, we're taking from this, but we're going to go our own way, and we're going to do the characterization our own way. So it's a nice little surprise. This was one I wanted to see because I'm a big fan of Shining. But I was obviously suspicious about it because, like, well, you're doing a sequel to The Shining, this could be really bad. So, and I heard the book didn't get good reviews. So I was a bit suspicious, but it came out really well. I mean, it really delivered for a massive Kubrick fan like me who'd been very easily pushed to hate it, but no, it was really good. It was really well done. It's a nice kind of ghost story. It's a kind of ghost story I like, where it is character based and everything ties in to character rather than anything else. So it's wonderfully done. I highly recommend it. It's a really enjoyable little ghost story. That's all it is. It's always trying to be. But if you like those, go see it because it's really good. So I hope you enjoyed this. I've tried to be as non-spoilery as possible because, again, as I said, the unfolding the story and all the details is how it is, where its effectiveness comes from. Yeah, try to stick to what was in the trailer, really. In this, so that's why it's non-spoiler. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll be back in a week or two with more videos when I start up again. This was a little extra. So bye for now.